bidding over the opponent's double and redoubling. So it's let me just check everything is working. Yeah. So that's the topic of today's talk. I don't think I've covered it in a video before. And what we're going to look at is a situation where your partner has bid one of a suit and the opponent's double. Now, the double, of course, is for takeout, and it's a normal part of bidding to bid a bit more aggressively over the intervening double than if there had been no intervening double. So in a situation like this, where East, your partner, has opened one heart and South doubles for takeout, this is a hand with 8 high card points, and you might think it's automatically a candidate for a bid of 2 hearts. But if you're having this understanding that you should bid a bit more aggressively in a situation where they've made an intervening double and it sounds like it's going to be a competitive auction, if you follow this practice, you should bid a bit higher and maybe bid 3 hearts. That's as long as you are sure your partner will understand that that is a bit weaker than normal, that it's not really showing the normal 10 to 12 points. It's a bit weaker. And why do you do this? Well, it sounds like on this bidding, once they've doubled, that they're going to probably find a fit somewhere. And if you've got a fit with your partner, it's a good idea to bid a little bit more in the hope of keeping the opponents out of the auction. For example, let's suppose the hands are something like this. So East has opened one heart. South has pretty much got a perfect hand almost for a double. They've got the 3 unbid suits. And if you bid 3 hearts here, North has a difficult decision about whether to bid or not. They do have only 4 points. And although they have a 5-card spade suit, it may well be that they're not quite sure they're strong enough to bid at the 3 level. Bidding at the 3 level would be pretty strong bid and would be invitational to game. So if West here bids 3 hearts, it may keep North out of the auction, and then maybe South will pass as well. On this particular hand, it turns out that both sides can make 9 tricks. So East-West can make 3 hearts and North-South can make 3 spades. But obviously, if you're able to get the contract for 3 hearts here, then that will be a good score for you, presumably. Of course, it's just a little bit dangerous to do this if you're not sure that your partner is on the same wavelength as you, and they may well, go to 4. If East is not on that, does not have the same understanding, they might go to 4 hearts here and be very disappointed with the dummy they see. So it is a part of standard bridge to bid more aggressively in this situation if there's been an intervening double. Any comments or questions on that so far?
Yeah, Tony Humphrey here. If you had enough points and shape to bid to 3 anyway, would you bid to 4? Right.
Well, possibly. I mean, we'll look at what it means to bid to 4 in a moment. But bidding to 4 is similar to what you would do to bid to 4 even without the double. Like a 1 heart, 4 hearts should normally be a preemptive game raise and should be fairly weak. But I think that particular hand, this particular hand, would be suitable for 3. The other thing you need to be careful of in this situation is think about the vulnerability as well. And you don't want to bid too aggressively if you're vulnerable and suffer a big penalty. But let's look at a few more examples.
Tony, can I ask something?
Yeah.
I understand about being more aggressive when West makes a bid, but why shouldn't North be a bit more aggressive as well, even with 4 points?
Right. Well,
4 points and 3 tens.
Yeah. I mean, should Should North bid 3 spades with this hand?
I personally would.
Yeah. And then North would probably go to 4 spades, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, South would probably go to 4 spades, which turns out it doesn't make. So it's tricky. It's putting pressure on the opponents, basically, by treating the 3 hearts as a slightly preemptive bid. If you were to just bid 2 hearts on this hand, so if it went 1 heart, double, 2 hearts, now I think North has an easy bid of 2 spades, which doesn't show that many points. And then even if East bids 3 hearts, South might very well end up in 3 spades here. And as I said, North-South might well make 3 spades, while East-West could make 3 hearts. So this is a summary of what it means. With support for your partner, raise typically 1 level higher than normal, especially if you're not vulnerable. So the raise to 2 hearts here could be, with just 4 to 8 points, a little bit weaker than normal, and it could just be 3 hearts here over the intervening double. You might decide, if you're aggressive anyway, you might bid 2 hearts even without the intervening double. But if you were thinking of passing with only 5 points there, you should bid a little bit more aggressively and maybe bid 2 hearts there. Or the 3 heart bid would be one similar to what we've looked at, where we have 4 card heart support and maybe something like 5 to 8 points. And if you are a bit stronger, either in terms of shape or in terms of distribution, then you're probably best just to go to 4 hearts. So if you have a weak raise, with not that many points, but a very good fit for your partner, then you could bid 4 hearts. Or if you have a fit and you have enough points for game, then you could bid 4 hearts as well. Okay, so those are the kinds of hands where you would bid 4 hearts. So the other thing I wanted to look at in the talk today is what to do if there's a double and you don't particularly have a fit for your partner. And if you have a strong hand with 10 or more points, the normal correct bid to make is to redouble. Now, it's a bid that most people forget about or don't necessarily make, but it can be useful, and it's particularly useful when you don't have a fit for your partner's suit. And it's basically saying, partner, I have 10 or more points. You've got an opening hand. We have the balance of points, presumably something like 23 plus points. And it sets off what's called a forcing auction that basically says to you and your partner, we're going to outbid the opponents here. Or if they bid something that either of us think we could defeat, we're going to double, and that double would then be for penalties. So on a situation like this, you can redouble with the West hand. And if we bring up the 4 hands, let's see how the auction might continue. So East opened a spade. South has got a very good hand, I think, for a takeout double. And you redouble with 10 points. And that basically says to your partner, I have at least 10 points here. It also sort of tends to deny a fit in your partner's suit. So if you had a good fit in spades, you wouldn't be making this bid, you'd be raising spades. So it tends to deny a fit. And North here, you might think, oh, I'm off the hook here, I don't need to bid anything here. But North should actually bid something if they have a preference for any of the unbid suits. In other words, your partner's double showed the 3 unbid suits, hearts, diamonds, and clubs. And you here have a clear preference for hearts, so you should bid hearts. And the 2 heart bid here does not show any extra points. If you think about it, all the other hands are all showing strong hands. East showing an opening hand, your partner's showing the equivalent of an opening hand. West is showing 10 or more points. So everyone knows you're weak. But if you have a preference of one of the unbid suits, you should bid it now, and maybe you'll end up in a fit. Now, it turns out here that if North does bid 2 hearts, and then it goes pass, the best thing for West to do is actually to double. And that double is for penalties. It's slightly scary, but it turns out on this particular hand that it's the best thing that East-West can do to defeat East-West, especially if East-West were vulnerable. And the analysis on this hand says that North-South could actually be defeated by 2 tricks, and you would get a score of 500. Whereas the best positive score that East-West could make would be 2 spades, 2 no trump, or 4 clubs. So it sort of takes a bit of guts to do this, to double these low-level contracts. But what West has on this hand that makes the hand suitable for making a penalty double is 4 trump. Okay, they've got some quite reasonable trump. They are probably quite well situated in the sense that South is likely to be the strong hand. So those 2 factors probably mean that that's the best score. By the way, if North passed on this hand, okay, it would really say, I have no particular preference as to what to bid. And then if East passed, then South would bid something. South would probably bid 2 hearts there as their best suit. And again, that might get doubled. And if it gets doubled, that double is for penalty. Okay. By the way, in this sequence where it goes 1 spade, double, redouble, 2 hearts, this pass by East is an example of a forcing pass. That is to say, when East passes, he's just saying, I don't particularly want to bid anything here. I can't double 2 hearts for penalty, of course. And it's up to you, West, to bid something, to either bid something, or if you feel you have the right hand, to double them for penalty. Let's have a look at a slightly different hand where here West opens 1 spade, North doubles, and East again with 10 points redoubles. Now, South again is terribly weak here, but their partner has shown the 3 unbid suits, and you have a strong preference for clubs. So rather than pass and leave the decision to your partner, you should bid 2 clubs here. And if the bidding does go like that, it comes back round to West. Now, West here has got a very distributional hand. They're not really interested in defending a 2 club contract. And if you have a distributional hand like that, even though your partner's redoubled, without any particular strong fit for you, you should bid again. You should say, partner, I don't really want you to think about leaving 2 clubs doubled in here, and I want to bid here. I'll bid my second suit. So I bid 2 hearts here. North might well decide to raise 3 to 3 clubs, as they've got a good club fit here. And then East will have to find another bid. And East really, with some, now that their partners bid 2 suits, could probably support spades, and you would end up in 4 spades on this hand. So that might be a very good, reasonable contract for you to end up in. So it doesn't always mean that when you do start with a redouble, you're going to start doubling the opponents. You can double them if you have the right kind of trump holding, but otherwise you're going to bid something of your own. So that's what redouble means after a takeout double. It shows at least 10 points, that your side has the majority of points. It expresses a willingness to either outbid the opponents or to double them. If they bid a suit, we think we can double. Either of us think we can double. And it turns out that this bid is probably most valuable when our side has no game, but we can double the opponents. So in other words, if we have enough for game and we're going to bid 4 of a major or 3 no trump, then this isn't quite so valuable because we'll often, like to get the game bonus. But if we're considering a part score, we may find a better option is to double the opponents in their low-level suit contract. And if you do play this, bidding a new suit instead of redoubling should normally show fewer than 10 points. That's unless you raise your partner's suit. So it's an important bid, but sort of one that gets forgotten about. And as I said, raising partner suit is a bit weaker than normal. So let's have a look at some other examples of this. And I just want to look at 4 hands together here. And here's one where I want to look at this from the point of view of North. North, you've passed on this hand. East has opened 1 diamond. And South, your partner, doubles. That's a double for takeout. And West here redoubles. So West redoubles. And I've got a poll for you here, which is, what do you think North should bid with this hand? So have a little think about it. And the poll coming up is, what do you think North should bid here? Or should they pass? Okay, let's have a look at the results.
Pass.
And we've got a very even result. A lot of you said pass, 48%, 41% said 2 clubs, and 11% said 1 no trump. And my vote here is for 2 clubs. Basically, your partner wants you to bid one of the unbid suits. They have support for all of them. And if you had no particular preference between them, say you had maybe 3 cards in every unbid suit, you could pass and your partner would hopefully then bid their best suit. But here you do have a strong preference for clubs. So I think that is a good bid. I think you should bid 2 clubs on this hand. And if East passes and then South passes, I'd now like to look at the West hand and see if you can tell me what you think West should bid here. So your partner bid 1 diamond. That was doubled. You redoubled, because here I think you've got 11 points. North bids 2 clubs. It goes pass, pass. And the second and final poll of the evening is, what should West bid here? Okay, let's have a look at the results. And most of you have gone for double, 67%, followed by 2 no trump, and then 2 hearts, the 3 options. And yes, I agree with most of you here. I think if you have enough courage, I would seriously think about doubling. And if you do double, that double is for penalties, because you have the majority of points. You have a good club holding here, and that may well be your best score. My second choice would possibly be 2 no trump here, because I've got 11 points. I don't have a real fit for my partner. So I think those would be my 2 choices there. We'll look at how it would do in no trump in a moment, but let's look at how it will do in 2 clubs. And I haven't particularly set up this hand to be particularly nasty to North-South, but let's just see how it does. If we bring up the 4 hands, let's see how it does. Well, East here is on lead, and East might well decide to start off with the Ace and King of Diamonds. I'm going to click here on the GIB link, and it's actually saying that on many leads, the contract could go down 3 tricks. And of course, down 3 doubled is a very good score, either 500 or 800. Of course, you may not find the perfect defense, but let's see how it might go. They might start with the diamond. West signals encouragement here, because even though they can see a 3rd diamond can be roughed in dummy, the South hand, they might be able to over rough. So they play a 2nd diamond, play a 3rd diamond, and if South declare plays the 8 of clubs from dummy, you can actually over up here with the 10. And again, it's interesting to see what do you think West should play at this point? They've just over roughed. It turns out that the best defense is actually now to draw trumps, because you can draw 2 rounds of trumps and prevent any and end up being able to ruff a diamond while declarer has no more trumps in dummy. So the best defense is actually a trump here, very often the case if you have good trumps. And now what? Now declarer's in. Let's suppose they play a heart. You might well here play the queen or the jack here. It's called splitting your honors, but suppose you don't and they try to win with a 9. Your partner can win that with the ace, and their best defense is actually to play a diamond back, because that can't be ruffed in dummy, but you can ruff with your last trump. And so far, East-West have made 6 tricks. If they now play another heart, they can force out the king, but they will get 1 more heart. Declarer's still got a trump and can make the ace of spades, but that will probably be it, apart from the jack of clubs. So they might make 5 tricks there and go down 3, which would probably be a good score. If on this hand, if the bidding goes the same, and if after the 2 club bid, West bids 2 no trump, then that may well end the auction, because East has only got 13 points and your partner is showing something like 10 to 12 points, and that might well be where you end up. And again, if I click on the GIB button, the computer's saying that you can make 2 no trump. Depending on the lead, you might even make an over trick. On this hand, they'll probably lead a diamond, but even if you make 2 no trump, or even if you make 2 no trump plus 1, that won't be as good a score as defeating 2 clubs. So if you get a chance to double in that situation, if the opponents are running to a suit, then that can be a better option than trying to play it in no trump your way. That's unless you have enough to bid game. So if you're thinking about bidding game, 3 no trump might be a better option. But here, if it's a choice between 2 no trump or letting them play in 2 clubs doubled, then 2 clubs doubled turns out to be better. And of course, you also want to look at the vulnerability. If they're vulnerable and you can defeat them even 1 trick down 1 doubled, that could be a good score of 200 if you don't have any game your way. Anyway, that was all I wanted to talk about. Did anyone have any questions on that?
Tony,
hello.
Hello there. Sorry, haven't been around for a while, but anyway, we're back now. I have a recollection that after the double, West, if they had a support for the original suit, and they had more than 10 points, they might bid 2 no trumps.
So are you talking about this bidding sequence or a different?
No, not
one?
on this. No, not this particular one, but 1 diamond doubled, and if West had 4 diamonds to support, in other words, they had support for their 10 plus points, they would show that by bidding 2 no trumps.
Yes.
Do
So
you not want to talk about that? Is that more of a confusion?
I didn't want to talk about it. It's used when your partner bids a major and they double. You can use 2 no trump to show a limit raise, and it's called Truscott 2 no trump or Jordan 2 no trump. But I didn't want
just
to.
for majors.
I didn't want to talk about it today.
Okay.
Because it's a bit complicated.
Okay.
And I think the rest of it you can still play even if you don't play that. But if you play that, then good for you. But I think that's only used in support when your partner bids a major.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? We'll end the talk there if that's all right. And we've got the game coming up at 7:30. I hope this slightly later time works for you. It works a bit better for me as well. And we'll start at 7:30. If anyone here, I'll end the call. I'll just stop sharing my screen with you. If anyone here needs a partner, you can stay online.